Hello, everyone. Welcome to our last panel, All in One, on our first Making Groundwater Visible from the Groundwater Project. I'm your host, Everton de Oliveira. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been an honor to have your participation along in this February 2021. You are very important to the future of groundwater. All of us are. Please upload your picture watching the event and tag it at the Groundwater to be featured on our social media pages. We count on you, all of you. Like and share our posts. Volunteer to help translate books into your mother tongue. Make a difference. Let's make the groundwater visible. Before we start, I would like to thank our sponsors for making this event possible and free for all of you, all of us. TDS, Technical Development Solutions from Saudi Arabia. Hydroplan, a consulting company from Brazil. G360 from the University of Guelph in Canada. Solinst Equipments from Canada. And Waterloo Barrier also from Canada. And also to all the individuals donors. Without them, this noble endeavor would not be possible. Please join them. Donate if you are an individual, or add the name of your company as a sponsor to a game changer initiative. All in one, all of us in one direction, one concept, one major goal, the betterment of groundwater quality and management. We are from all places on earth, many different cultures and languages, and what unites our good intention is science and personal initiative. It is through our volunteer work and participation that will make the groundwater visible. All else has to come with it. We have here today with us three very good friends and important people in the groundwater world doing their betterment for the world already. We have here Miguel Rangel Medina, former professor at the University. I'm mixing languages here now. I'm trying to speak in Spanish. So Miguel Rangel Medina, a former professor at the Sonora University in Mexico. I have Georgios Karatzas, a professor at the Technical University of Crete in Greece. And Marco Petitta, professor at La Sapienza University in Rome, Italy. All of them are early supporters of the Groundwater Project. Please, Miguel, make your short introduction, please, to our audience. Thank you very much for showing up.
Thank you very much for you. And of course, this is a very big effort. I'm very happy to be here with you. Sharing these cameras. This is a very good opportunity to send all my best wishes for my students, for your students, and for yourself. I think this is a big event not because it's for you, it's because it's for John. And John Cherry is with the book of Groundwater, which is the one of the best written in 1979, and we were working in translation. So after many years, we are together again, trying to introduce new ideas from this book. So it's a very good time to say thank you again and to be here. Thank you for this invitation.
Thank you. We thank you very much. Georgios, please introduce yourself to our audience, please.
My name is George Karatzas. I'm the professor in the Technical University of Crete. I have been here since 1999 teaching what else? Groundwater. And it's a great honor for me to be here with you today. We have been working on translation and collaboration with Gina Kalogeraki of the Freeze and Cherry book, which for us, it's the Bible. Thank you once again for inviting me, and I think it's a great honor and a great opportunity for us to participate.
Thank you. Our honor. Thank you. Marco, please, your turn.
Okay, I'm professor in hydrogeology, as you mentioned, Everton, and I'm also involved in the International Association of Hydrogeologists and the European level for the application of the Groundwater Directive. And since the beginning, I was so lucky to be involved in the groundwater project, thanks to John Cherry and Everton and all our friends all around the world. And there's a great honors also for me to participate and to have the possibility to give some contribution to this amazing project, amazing vision that John Cherry is sharing with all of us and all the people involved in groundwater science and groundwater management, and also groundwater perspective in the future. I'm convinced that this is the right way for joining the scientists and the society under the sentence making groundwater visible.
Thank you for your kind words. Please, we'll have a presentation of you now in sequence. Miguel first, please. Can you share your screen?
Of course.
Yes,
yeah,
thank you very much. Yes.
Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, well, this is hydrogeology in my life, okay? I am here and involved since 1976, so it's a long way. Previous of that, I was in mining, but the water called me. Here in Mexico, we have a Asociación Hidrológica Mexicana, which is the name very old. Almost nobody used now this name of geohydrogeology, use hydrogeology. But this is very old association, and we are involved here, most Mexicans. And I was here as a president from 2010 to 2014. Then also from 14 to 18, I was representing here in Mexico, the International Association, the Group of Mexico. And now I'm past professor in the university, and I have this consultant in Mexico, which is the Investigación y Desarrollo de Acuíferos y Ambiente. So we study all kind of aquifers in Mexico. And also I'm a representative of this important organization of IAPG, of promoting of geoethics, which is handled internationally by Marco Petitta. Unfortunately, I told him that here in Mexico, it's really difficult because there is a few interest to be involved in any kind of association, not only in that one. Well, but anyway, about with my researching areas and my experience in the consultant, we have experience on this kind of aquifers. All these aquifers we have in touch here in Mexico, and it's of course it's important. Because of my region, the most important for us is the transbordary aquifers, where we are very close to the United States. We are in the border with Arizona in the United States, and the coastal aquifers, where we have the Gulf of Cortez. Also, my work here now is with the Asociación Latinoamericana de Hidrología Subterránea, which is ALSUD. ALSUD, I'm as president since 2014. And we are working very hard now to produce all kind of information and researching that our countries in Latin America are given to the world. And we already have it this 2020 from Argentina, Venezuela, and Uruguay. This is 2020, and every 4 months. And of course, we are now working on Colombia. How's the groundwater in Mexico? Well, the aquifers. The aquifers, maybe it's the same that maybe many places in the world. But in Mexico is the one of the permanent source of water because we have arid and semi-arid regions and at most. Of course, also they support the irrigation in some 2 million of hectares, which is very big area. They supply about 75% of water used in cities. And of course, also for another kind of demands like industrial developments, and they supply rural populations with where this rural is maybe 25 million inhabitants, where actually we're losing people in rural areas. What you see in the right side is a fireman trying to shut off a river. You see, it's a river in a fire because it's the contamination. This is really rare. Well, maybe also we share the Great Wars problems related to groundwater. Lowering of groundwater levels, of course, is a very, very big problem with a reduction of storage in aquifers. The contamination, of course, and degradation of all kind of pathogens, which is most in rural areas. We have marine intrusion, most in our area in the northwest of Mexico. Low attention of research and agreements in transborder aquifers. We have no any agreement with the United States about groundwater. We have with superficial water, but we don't have on groundwater. Social and political pressure reduce access to industry. So this is because of the competition. And we have high rates in use of water in exportation agriculture. This is a big problem because the agriculture is for exportation. And drastic change and disaster emergencies and climate change and sea level rise is also a kind of problem here. And how's the water? Well, the water is most to the south. We have 30% of the territory, national territory, it has the water. They have the availability of 3,361 cubic meters per person per year. But from the center to the north, we have only 1.8. And so it's 1,000. So it is a very big contrary opposition and difficulty to get the water. Here is our region, the northwest of Mexico, the Pacific northwestern of Mexico. Here is some talking about the relevance of groundwater in Mexico. More than 60% of the territory is arid and semi-arid, and of course, we have to use groundwater. So the people depend more than 70% of groundwater. And you can see to the right how it's this kind of results in every places. This is in one state to the southwest of Michoacan is in Mexico. And of course, in Mexico City, like the big megalopolises, depends on groundwater, with 85% is supplied of consuming in Mexico City with the result of high subsidence, which is very famous. I will show you some photograph a little later. So the groundwater availability is very scarce and with a big problem, this is the availability, and we have in red all the aquifers. We have divided in Mexico some polygons that shows the administrative aquifers, which are normative and not hydrogeologically exactly, but with administration, we can know where is already with problems. And we have to the northwest in our region, you can see the coastal areas where we are in troubles with the reduction of water and also groundwater intrusion of into the sea from the sea. So the extraction and recharge, it's very high. So we have 547 aquifers under exploitation, but we have 106 aquifer overexploited. So this is a very problem in our country. In our region, you can see the region is the total recharge is this one, 2,700. This is almost 84.6 cubic meter per second, the recharge, but the pumping is a little more. So this, of course, give us an imbalance in our region. And you can see how is the recharge here in this bars, and almost the recharge in all places, all basins. This is every basin in our region is bigger than our extraction. Exception is this one, which is the big one in Sonora, which is a little big one than the extraction. So this is here in this to the south of Hermosillo, Sonora, which is the capital. But the rest of the basins are under exploitation. So the results is that 13 are in equilibrium and 15 are in overexploitation conditions. But doesn't matter, we recognize environmental deterioration, and the strong environmental deterioration caused by this overpumping, of course. And where I told you about the subsidies here in Mexico City, this is a photo from 1932. You can see the pump over here. This is the floor in 1932, and now it's 2020. So this is the subsidence in Mexico City. It's a very big impact. So also, of course, is a lowering of groundwater levels, contamination aquifers, political pressure to reduce access to industry, and high rates of use of water in exportation and agriculture, and drastic change in disaster emergencies. And of course, we are trying to understand how will be the climate change and sea level rise. This is whys. Why? And it's some kind of analysis of the whys. Because our people is in magical thinking, you know. Water is sacred. So God gives up the water and God take it. So they say, why study the water? Because all is thing of God. And this is renewable and infinite resource. This is a thinking. It does not require so many people and so many signs in, and it's why they don't want any kind of handling, because they said no problem with the water. So a level market is not certainly visible under economical recognition. The society is unaware of hydrogeology activities, and in the public sector, the function of hydrogeologists are in some way covered by another professionals. So what kind of challenges we have? Well, the influence of groundwater scientists in the public sector, more presence in the media, because we need to say to people how are working now and which is the modern tools to present this effort in our days. And also we need the social projection of to share this knowledge that is currently hidden as the water. Academic attraction and groundwater research institutes. We don't have any institution that have where we can have any special studies for groundwater. Continued review of programs in universities. We have to review this because already they are old programs. And our programs must be attached to a national problems. And we need to incorporate technological innovations and promote multidisciplinarity. This is very important because now with all kind of tools, we can show that we are not alone in the groundwater, but also with the atmosphere and with another areas that we can, or maybe we have to be prepared. And the governance of water, we need the real quantification of extraction. We have some calculation to obtain the availability for regions for every aquifer, these administrative aquifers, but we have to really take more researching for not only transportary aquifers, but to real quantification. And we need monitoring for groundwater for quantity and quality. There are some places where in every aquifer we have only two readings. Integrated water management, of course, is a big tool also, and groundwater management models to help for the important take of decisions. There is a problem also with the water price. Sometimes there is people in some rural areas where they don't want to pay the water, but they pay the water from tank water tanks, and they pay more than if they pay for only one pumping. So this is important to explain to the people how it's better the water management in the areas, environmental impact and over exploitation areas, and reservation to attend emergency situations. So this is a summary of our governance areas. And finally, I finish with this very good phrase of my friend Sami Puri, which says in innumerable examples around the world, the chaotic past extraction and future disorganized utilization from aquifers point only one way, dry rocks. I think if we don't stop this way to extract water from the subsoil, we'll be in big troubles in very soon. So this is my message for today. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you very much, Miguel. Now we go to Georges, please.
Yes. Okay. Well, okay. I will be concentrating on my own story, and then I will extend this to how I got involved with groundwater and how groundwater is in my life. Okay. So, as I said, my approach will be what were the steps and how I got involved with groundwater and what we're doing now with groundwater. My first stop was the Department of Forestry and Natural Environment, where I got a degree from there in 1982 from Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. And at that time was more the emphasis on environmental issues and forestry. This is the campus where I graduated, I did my undergraduate studies. My second step was in Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, where I got admitted to the Civil Environmental Engineering department. And there were several areas of concentration, but I went to the Water Resources Environmental Engineering. So I started getting involved with water in general, and the emphasis on hydrology, hydraulics, groundwater. So there I had my first touch with groundwater concepts. Here is Rutgers University. And at the same time, when I finished my master, I worked for almost for a year for Sadat Associating Company. It was a consulting company which was outside Princeton, and it was involved with groundwater research. My third step was Princeton University, where I met George Pinder. It was a combined program between Rutgers University and Princeton University. and I joined the civil engineering and operation research at that time. We are talking in 1987. Here is Princeton University. My PhD thesis was with Professor George Pinder, working with George, what else? Simulation, modeling. So it was groundwater simulation and optimization for optimal groundwater management. So that's where I got deep into the groundwater concepts. My fourth step was, as soon as I finished my PhD, I moved with George Pinder, where at that time he became the dean at the University of Vermont, to the University of Vermont, and I joined the College of Engineering and Mathematics, first as a postgraduate, and then at the end I was a research assistant professor there. This is the campus of University of Vermont. It was postgraduate work with George Pinder on groundwater simulation and optimization for optimal groundwater management. The emphasis for me it was to be concentrated on groundwater problem, but also to apply optimization techniques like linear and non-linear programming for solving groundwater management problems. Again, one more picture of the University of Vermont. I miss that picture, or that's reality. And my last step was here at the Technical University of Crete. I have been here since 1999 in the School of Environmental Engineering. And this is a picture of our campus. It's a small university. It has about 4,000 undergraduate students and about 2,000 master and PhD students. And it's in the city of Kanya on the island of Crete. What I'm teaching here, the courses that I'm teaching, groundwater flow and mass transport, optimization methods for environmental system, fluid mechanics, hydrology, and hydraulics. And what are my research on? Basically, groundwater management simulation and optimization, things that I had done in my PhD study. But coming back to Greece, I had to deal with the problems that we are facing in Greece regarding groundwater. And having more than 2,000 islands, our major problem here is saltwater intrusion of coastal aquifer. And some of the islands, they don't have water, or they have small aquifers with little amount of water, and sometimes you cannot use that water because it has been salt intrusion. There is salt intrusion. And also overpumping, it's another issue. So regarding the quantity, we have the problem of overpumping, and this is due to the limited amount of water. And the second problem is the quality, which is mostly related to seawater intrusion, nitrates pollution, and in some areas we have chromium pollution. That's another issue. It's a big area. Also, I have involved with some flash floods projects, which mostly I was involved with the simulation. What are my recent projects that I'm working on? One is the Sustained Coast Project. We are 7 countries from the Mediterranean area, and actually we are the coordinates. The sustained cost problem, beside the modeling part, which is I have the modeling part regarding the Greek side, and then we have 4 field sites. One is in Crete, one is in South Turkey, one is in Sicily in Italy, and one is in Tunisia. So we have 7 partners being involved with that problem. our team coordinates that project. It's a 3 years project. And the main concept is, beside the modeling, to put emphasis on the governance. So one part of the problem is also organizing living labs, try to identify the problem from the stakeholders, get their opinions and ideas, and go on to the different scenarios, proposing different scenarios regarding groundwater management based on the stakeholder suggestions and ideas. So we have to put emphasis on that. And this is actually the directions from the European Union in order to get funded. You have to give emphasis to the stakeholder and to the society problems in order to have some possibility of success. And the second project that I'm involved, it's a PRIMA project in the Med, and it's innovative and sustainable groundwater management in the Mediterranean. Again, we are 8 partners from Germany, France, Italy, Turkey, Greece, and Spain. Coordinator is in Spain, Portugal, and Tunisia. So these are the main things that I'm concentrated. As you can see, all of them are with groundwater. It's not only groundwater problems that are affiliated with the Greek groundwater problems, but all problems that are related to the Mediterranean area. Unfortunately, the Mediterranean area has not too many studies regarding groundwater problems and groundwater management. So the emphasis is to get several sites, propose different scenarios, examine different scenarios, considering also the climate change, and try to get kind of outlines or trying to get materials that can be applied to some other areas in the Mediterranean region. With this, I think I have finished my presentation. I would like to thank you once again, and I will be glad if anybody has any question or any comment.
Thank you very much. Very kind. I'll ask you to stop sharing your presentation, please.
Yes.
Marco Petitta, your turn, please.
Yes. I can talk with you something about my experience in groundwater science and practice in the long 35 years of activity. Unfortunately, it's a long period. It seems that we are getting old man. Anyway,
you are talk about yourself only.
I was lucky in my young years because I'm living in Italy, and Italy is a country where geology is amazing. It's a dominant issue. People don't know very well, but geology is really amazing in Italy. We have, for example, earthquakes, which is not a good notice, but it's true. A lot of coastal areas, not only for tourism, but also for the dynamic of the surface, earth and sea. Volcanoes, of course. A lot of landslide risk in such a small countries, not a big country like US, Canada, or Brazil, but is a country where geology is really condensed. Unfortunately, we don't have diamonds, not diamonds in Italy, but we have a lot of groundwater. So groundwater is a main richness of the geology of Italy, and people don't know very well. We are not aware of the fact that groundwater and water is so precious, so important, so relevant, because we have so many waters that we don't care about it. And this is a very strong limitation. And in detail, I live in central Italy, in a region where hydrogeology is the most important topic. Close to my village, we have the largest spring in Europe, which account for more than 20 cubic meter per second. So the total amount of groundwater in the area is 30 cubic meter per second. A lot of discharge springs, including thermal springs, recharged by snow coverage on the surrounding mountain, sinkhole risk due to the collapse of the karst coverage and also of the recent area filled by quaternary sediments. And of course, a lot of interest for tapping springs and withdrawal and so on. So I was so lucky that since the beginning, I was involved in a lot of relationship with the groundwater use and protection and in general of science. When I met John Cherry for the first time 15 years ago in Canada, at a bus stop in the evening of Canada when it was very cold at that time, in February, if I remember well, it was a lot of snow, and we were waiting for a bus, and he asked me what kind of hydrogeologist I was. And I say, what do you mean? I'm a hydrogeologist. But no, you know that hydrogeologists has several specialization, or for example, remediation or modeling or groundwater quality or groundwater balance and budget and so on. No, I'm totally fascinated by the whole hydrogeology. I'm not interested in to be the first one in a small field or one working in a very small field. I like the entire framework, the entire vision about groundwater science. And he agreed with me that probably it could be a positive approach, the good approach to become what I am now after 25 years of activity. So I'm 100% hydrogeologist. I'm considering myself a 100% hydrogeologist. And I try to share this approach with my student during my teaching activity, which is related on undergraduate students in geology, but also undergraduate students in environmental science, and in master science in applied geology. So I'm also teaching groundwater hydrodynamics and applied hydrogeology, so groundwater exploitation, protection, and so on. And I'm really interested in communicating with the students the complexity of the hydrogeologist. So I like to be a mentor. Yeah, a mentor. It's very exciting for me to be a mentor. But what I want to transmit to my students is that you need to hear different voices, not only one teacher that inform you or transmit you his approach, his vision. You need a wider base of knowledge and tell by different teacher and different specialists. So this is one of the most important things that I find in the groundwater project. So several books, several topics approached by different people, and each one can contribute with his vision to the global vision. This is a very relevant new approach, because in the past we were usually we study in a single book wrote by one or two authors. Now we have the possibility to read the opinion and the knowledge of 100, 200, 300 authors. You know, Everton, I'm not so distant from the reality. The groundwater project expected 200 and more authors. This is a richness for our young students. At the same time, I'm also, of course, developing research activity. I will tell you something in a few minutes, but I'm also involved in what that my university called the third mission. The third mission is a communication with the society, communication with the stakeholders, so external to our tower. No, the tower of the scientist has to be broken. We have to stay in an open world, and of course, the web and the social network help us to communicate with several people. So we have this. Our generation has, for the first time, this possibility that our voice can be heard, whatever in the world. It's a very also is an opportunity, but at the same time has to be I can say has to be a duty for us. So we are not talking to 20 students in a room. We are talking with millions of people potentially. And in this field, I was involved also in a project in the past year at the European level, the project named Kindra, which was about exactly the motto of Kindra. The statement of Kindra was making groundwater visible. So exactly the same that we are using now, visible, but at the same time available for everyone, at the same time treasured. So it's very precious to communicate the value of groundwater. And we are not talking only about science. We are talking about knowledge. Knowledge as a wider sense respect to science. Knowledge means to share data, share information, share concept. This is another very relevant issue in my career, in my approach, is the conceptual model of groundwater flow and transport, if you want to put inside the groundwater science, which means that we need to elaborate data to build a model, a conceptual model that has to be transmitted to the people. All hydrogeologists, in my opinion, as a wide mind approach, because they have to talk about something that is not visible. So making groundwater visible means also the possibility to transmit our passion and our knowledge in practical way. About my activity in research field, I'm also involved right now in another project like my Greek colleague under the Prima program, Prima 2019 program, which is the Karma project with colleagues from several countries in Europe, and we are dealing with a karst aquifer in this case. So I'm delighted to work on some of the karst issues in groundwater. But in the past, I was also involved in modeling. Actually, my PhD, I started as a modelist in groundwater. When modeling means put information in a big computer, the only one computer available in my university at that time, and you have to wait 1 day or 2 days to have the results of simulation. So it's a simple simulation, of course. So if something went wrong, you have to restart for another week to build a model. And also in this case, we were lucky. Our generation was lucky because we followed the big improvement of the technologies that allow us now to simulate a very complex situation that our mind is not able to synthesize simply. And I also work in groundwater quality, working on hydrogeochemical approach. I like hydrochemistry too, and especially isotopes. And one of my best friends is Ramon Aravena from Canada. You know very well, and I hope that many people know him. He introduced me to the isotope science, and I'm very fascinated by this because it's a very powerful tool in explaining how groundwater moves and interact with the rock in subsoil. Of course, I was also involved. I'm also involved in remediation project, which is a practical part of our science that to give the possibility to restore environmental situation that unfortunately the man and the human have compromised with our pressure, with the pressure during several years and decades. Now we have our challenge in the 21st century is to remediate to the problems that the 20th centuries actualized in the field of groundwater and also in other fields, I think so. So one of the best goal we have to pursue is the balancing the environmental protection and the human needs. It's not an easy task because we have to take into account both issues. So the rising need of water by the increasing population, and of course not only increasing population, but we have the duty to give water to the poor nation, to the nation in developing countries and so on. At the same time, we have to save water for the future, which is another very, very strong challenge. This is completely fascinating. Yeah. But my last activity in the last 3 years, I concentrated my activity in another special field, which is the relationships between groundwater and earthquakes. Because we in Italy, we suffered by a couple of big earthquakes in the last decade, and we suffered also by some change in groundwater flow and chemistry, hydrochemistry, due to the earthquake. So the earthquake accelerating the process that the geology is able to develop in centuries or millennia. During the earthquake, something that is still stable since years can change suddenly and provoking some problem with the groundwater drinking supply, for example. Just in this day, we are discussing how to solve some problem related to the last earthquake. But we also followed another approach in groundwater and earthquake scientific research, which is the Holy Grail. The real Holy Grail of all the geologists around the world is to find some precursors to preview the earthquakes. And now we are working for, of course, offering us more contribution to this big deal, discovering that groundwater has a huge potentiality in this field. And we also register some possible precursor in both in hydrochemistry, but in groundwater level. If you look at some particular areas that we call it hydrosensitivity area to earthquakes, we can also identify some possible precursor and contribute also to developing some very relevant information for previewing in the future, in 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, the earthquakes. Finally, I want to underline what I hope for the groundwater project. Yeah, so as I mentioned before, my first deal is to sharing knowledge. As I mentioned, knowledge is more than science, more than research. We have to share knowledge all around the world, and not only to between colleagues or to the students, but also to the society, to the people that are working with water availability and water scarcity without knowledge about the movement of groundwater in the subsoil. So help the young people to know groundwater, of course, as a relevant issue. And so in general, I think that with the groundwater project, inside the groundwater project, my hope is that we can give a contribution to the society prosperity in the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm jealous. So you work with everything. You're a Leonardo da Vinci of hydrogeology. I'm very jealous now. I'm so focused.
Yes,
thank you. And Georgios, you only stay in cold places. You know, Nova Scotia, Princeton, then Vermont. Fortunately, you're back to Greece now. Good. Well, guys, thank you very much. I'd like to ask you. Miguel mentioned some interesting points about the groundwater project and about groundwater in general. As you see, not only us pick the name Making Groundwater Visible, because it is a problem. We have to make it visible because it looks like we're talking among ourselves only, you know, hydrogeologists talking to another hydrogeologist, and we have to break that barrier and go to the public at large. So one point for us is to make groundwater information through books available to anyone. Why? Because this is very important on the formation of people. As you know, most of us have used freeze and cherry. So we're in debt to that book because that was the Bible, as George has mentioned. I like it. And now we're putting together 200 more books to be delivered. And not only that, they're available for translations because people can read their mother tongues, which is very helpful for young students. You know, everybody thinks or they pretend they speak good English. And we know that it's not easy to speak good English. And for, you know, a young student to learn a science in another language is even harder. So whatever we do to make it easier, it's welcome. So that's one point. Another point that Miguel mentioned is our presence in the media, right? And he mentioned social projection and academic attraction. They're all together. If you think that a few years in the 70s and the 80s, hydrogeology was hot because we had the big boom of computer science. So all the equations could be solved. We had the numerical modeling that was a big step forward for our science. And also we had the contamination problem appeared, you know, people didn't know very well. And that was a big boost for hydrogeology. We think that hydrogeology needs a big boost. So people needs to see groundwater and not only think about, but they have to see groundwater as something that is always present. I say, people, we're always walking on water, right? Because underneath our feet, we have always water, right? It's not like playing Jesus. We're all walking on water. The hydrogeologists, we know that, but people don't. So we have to bring that to the people. Please, what do you think we should do? You have a long experience. The three of you are very communicative. You speak very well. What do you think we could do with the groundwater project to go beyond our students, to reach out society? Please, who wants to answer first? Anyone?
Well, I could say that we have to start with the small people, with the children, because we already, even the young men, they are thinking different. They think that if they open the water in the house, there is no problem. And they don't know where is this water coming. So we have to show. I always say, sometimes our people are very interested to show how is the water culture. And I say, no, it's environmental culture. Because you have to know the environment you are living. Otherwise, if you don't know that you are living in the desert, in a semi-arid area, you will never say that you know something about the water below the groundwater, the surface. So you have to know your environment. You have to know how the water is moving, and you have to know that there is no any river below the surface. So the children need this information, very easy information, not complicated. Of course, we need the books, as you say, as you mentioned it, but we need to start with the children. They need to know where is the water, and to give the information that they can see something. They can see the wells and after the wells show how it's moving. Very easy. It's nothing complicated. Because if you show some books, maybe they don't understand. We have to be very close by the media. In the media, I think it's the best for the future.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe we have to go to the elementary school level with some simple books or maybe some videos, cartoons, and try to make the kids to understand what is groundwater, because groundwater is the invisible part of the hydrological cycle. So anybody can think anything about it. And I realized that when I teach groundwater flow and mass transport in the 4th year in the environmental engineering school, and the first question that I ask the students the first day of the class, what do you think about groundwater? What is groundwater? And the answer is rivers under the surface of the ground. They don't have any concept of what is groundwater. And rivers or lakes under the surface of the ground. So I think we have to work on elementary, junior high, and high school, and give them information, and also, to learn the mystery of groundwater and the beauty of that, so they can have an idea to choose that direction when they enter in the university or college or wherever the advanced education is for them.
I like that word, the mystery.
I totally agree. Marco, you want to say something? Okay.
I agree with my colleagues, of course, and I think that we have to change the language too. The books are, of course, very useful, but for trained people, also non-trained people, but people who are interested in the topic. We have to involve, as I mentioned by the colleagues, the people who are not interested in the topic, or apparently they don't care about the topic of groundwater. One of the possibility is the language, which means is the imaging. The image, we are in the 21st century, so short movie and the use of social network can help us a lot for reaching people that are not inside our sphere, our hydrosphere in this case. So we need to produce also small, short movie and include our information in the social network and launch information, which has to be written also not only for the specialized people or for the student, but also for not specialized people and not really focuses on interested people. It's a great opportunity also that the Groundwater project has, of course. So I launched the idea to produce some video in addition to the long list of books, and it could be, of course, another effort, but I think that it can help a lot for reaching people which are not aware about the groundwater issue and groundwater relevance, and of course that can confuse the river with the groundwater and so on.
Yeah.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes,
you have to educate farmers. They are the main users. So I think we should put emphasis, educate them in a simple way. We don't have to go to models or whatever.
Exactly.
I agree.
And please, I want to congratulate to Everton, because he has a very nice cartoon for children, Mr. Dr. Water, which is very, very good and excellent work. Thank you, Everton.
Thank you. Actually, thank you for mentioning. Actually, I'm working on a project, not for the groundwater project. I have a Sustainable Water Institute here in Brazil, and we produce videos, short videos. Actually, we're all talking about the same thing here. We're all in the same direction. Problem for us on the groundwater project, at the very beginning, because we can produce books because we have you guys. You're all potential authors and volunteers, and you're helping us for free. Producing books, producing videos are not that easy because they're expensive. We hydrogeologists don't know how to produce a very nice and appealing video. And if it doesn't catch the eye of the viewer on the internet, it doesn't work, because today, you know, the internet is a flood of information. There are so many information that people don't care. They watch 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 10 seconds. Yeah. They go to the next. So we have to work, as Marco mentioned, the university now wants professors to communicate. Why? Because we're getting, you know, on a very long distance from the average citizen who's paying us, basically. We're professors, right? So we have to make this information. Well, that said, our plan is to develop some benchmark videos, some very good ones for the lay people or for children, or different levels of videos, and then have the community to produce, open to the internet for people to produce. Because then you have millions of people, intelligent people, helping create nice stuff. Surely we will come with some, surely. And then we can make them better if necessary. We can get, you know, sponsors and people to help. But that's our goal, yes. We definitely need to communicate. We need ways to reach out to people, right? So my question is, have you ever had this experience? Have you ever talked to people away from hydrogeology to explain that? You have a long career, you've seen it all. What could you tell me about that? If you have a personal experience that was interesting.
Well, in my case, I can say that I've been involved in some projects, contamination projects for groundwater coming from some mines or other industries. And of course, the people around these projects, they are very angry, and it's very complicated to show with the simple words, a very common communication language, how is happening something, and how you can find the concept of a reference level. If you have monitoring, you can find it. But sometimes they think that they are drinking very good kind of very good quality of water, but they don't. So if you show that you before had this water and they push this one, but this is not in your water, you already have this contamination here in your water, they can find very well the answer. But sometimes it's not possible because the people is very angry against the companies. And in this case, it's very important. And I want to point that the importance of this association of promoting the geoethics, because in the geoethics, you are a geologist, a hydrogeologist, and you have to be ethic in every moment, because people feel that you are lying or not. And you have to be ready to speak with all the people, with the people who is sometimes sending some contamination to water, or with the people that they are receiving this contamination. You have to be ready to be ethic, to talk with both and separate, but with absolutely true, because otherwise they will lose the truth on you. I think that's most important in when you are in the social fight of this kind in any place.
Thank you. You guys? You want to say something, Giorgio, Marco?
Well, I
What
had
your experience?
last year I had an experience. We visited some farmers, stakeholders, and we're trying to identify some of their problems like saltwater intrusion or nitrate pollution. And in the beginning, they thought like if we realize that they have a saltwater intrusion problem, we will suggest to the politicians that these wells have to be closed. So in the beginning, they thought that we go there like a kind of police. So he started saying that we don't have any problem with the water. My well has the best water. Okay, we start being friends and we had dinner together, and then he had few usos. And then at the end said, can we have some water from your well? And he said, no way, you cannot drink it, it's full of salt.
That's good.
So it is, they think like they don't know how this phenomenon of saltwater intrusion takes place or occurs. And they don't want to admit it, that there is a problem and they have to do something. That's the thing. And actually they had the alternative because there is a reservoir that they didn't want to use the water from the reservoir just because they thought like the reservoir is very far. It's easier for me to pump here, you know, even if he was over pumping. And then when they realized that the local community, the local mayor could bring the water to them, they were start realizing that it's not only groundwater, the water that we have to use. We can use also surface water. And that's something because for us, 100% of the drinking water is groundwater. I mean, when I say for us here in Greece. So the concept of having surface water in combination with groundwater is something like it's not clear to them.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Marco.
Yes, I had some experience also in communication inside Kindra project, which was also mainly related to the communication issue. And we realized some short video and cartoon and so on. I don't know if you want to have a look. It's 90 seconds or not. So it depends on the time.
Sure.
Okay.
90 seconds we get. 90 seconds we get.
90 seconds is the maximum length you can put on the website, on the YouTube to attract people to see. No more than 90 seconds. It were my children that told me. No more than 1 minute and a half. So if you like, I can show you.
If it goes on Zoom, go, sure, go ahead.
Okay. Hoping that you can see and also that you can hear the music. Okay.
Nice.
This
It's
is a
another-
very simple communication example that we did also for the younger students and also for the stakeholders and so on. Of course, we need professional people, as Everton mentioned, to build a very powerful and useful communication.
Yes, definitely, definitely. I have one experience I'll tell you. I've been working with communication for quite a while, for groundwater communication. I had some learning about that. In one situation that I suggest you to do is just type groundwater on Google and see the amount of suggestions that appear there. It's not a lot, maybe thousands, a few thousands. And then you type Neymar or Messi or some of, you have hundreds of millions of, it's amazing, right? So I used to write some material with groundwater and go to Google and change the words, you go to the Google ads and use the words as you're buying an advertisement there, because the Google suggests you some words that are more successful, and then you rewrite the text on that. So I wrote once a trial called Sexy Water. Sexy, everybody wants to see, sexy. It has sex on it, it goes up. Because, water is not sexy. People don't care. So I was actually explaining why it's not sexy and why we don't have success. So I showed some numbers. But the title was, was catchy.
Yeah.
So, but it was just a trial for that. We have to make groundwater sexier. That's our work now. We have to bring people in. That's the major task of the groundwater project for us. Okay, so guys, I want you to make a final statement. You're all very nice. We could talk for a lot longer, but we're here an hour and a half already, and we have to wrap up our conversation here. Please make your final statement and put a good word for the groundwater project and for volunteers interested in helping us. Please, Miguel.
Well, I would like to continue helping in any way that you say anytime, please. And of course, I would like to also be involved in your Dr. Water, because it's a very nice opportunity to start with our people also here with our children. I would like very much to be involved in both, and more with the project, the groundwater project. Maybe someone of this kind of information that we need for the general of the people. I say one of my statements said, people said water comes from God, so God take it once, but of God, we have the problem. So, but common of people, they said we don't need a man. We need just somebody with a small stick to find water, and you don't we don't need you. So we have to start every time, and as in my past work in the university, I was 21 years teaching, and every semester started because it's different generation. So I said, now we have to start with every generation, and maybe there is people that never listened before something about the groundwater, and just say all of them are involved in groundwater, but they don't. So we have to start and restart continuously. So we have to move constantly. And thank you very much for this invitation again. And thank you to be here with Marco and Giorgio. Thank you. send you my best wishes, and please be careful with the COVID.
Thank you. Please say in Spanish, por favor, participe in the Groundwater Project.
Por favor, a todos los invitamos a que participen en Groundwater Project. Es necesario conocer el agua y ponerla a la vista, hacerla visible. Gracias.
Gracias a tú. Muchas gracias. Muy bien. Georges, your turn, please.
Yeah, I would like to express my will to help in any way, even my team as volunteers. My research group has 8 graduate students, master students, and postdocs, and more than 10 undergraduate students who are doing their undergraduate thesis in our group. So we'll be very glad to help to the project. I think now is the opportunity to bring the mystery of groundwater to everybody. Thank you. Thank you. It was nice to meet you guys. It was great to meet my colleagues. It was great to meet you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'll put a good word in Greek. We have to use that to advertise your interview.
Okay. Είναι καλό να συμμετέχετε στο ερευνητικό πρόγραμμα των υπογείων υδάτων, Groundwater.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Marco, your turn.
I have to confess that I had the similar idea that you about the sexy groundwater, because at the end of the Kindred project, I was preparing a presentation titled Money, Sex, and Groundwater.
Oh, perfect.
Unfortunately, I was not able to present whatever because many people don't agree about it, but it's still ready for large communication in groundwater. And my wish is that groundwater can become the first word before sex and before money all around the world. Okay.
Thank you, thank you. So put a good word for the Groundwater Project in Italian, please.
Ok, abbiamo bisogno di tutti per rinforzare l'idea che le acque sotterranee sono fondamentali per la vita su questo pianeta, che è l'unico che abbiamo. Aiutateci a promuovere il Groundwater Project. Thanks.
Very good, guys. It was a great pleasure talking to you, and we'll release the session later, okay? So thank you everybody for participating. We had 3 very interesting people talking to us today, and they're helping the Groundwater Project. Join us to help the Groundwater Project, all in one. Thank you very much. See you later.
Hello,
everyone. Thank you for joining us again in our session. This is our very last panel. It was very, very nice having all of you together with us all these days. The experience was quite impressive. Many talks were so inspirational. So many nice people giving us, a little bit of their experience on groundwater and about their lives, how groundwater is important to their lives, and more than that, how groundwater is important to all the people on our planet. They gave us such a good experience and ways to go, and they gave us examples, and they gave us an input to volunteer and to help spreading the news about groundwater. Today, we have here for you to our closure event. John Cherry is participating in our question and answer, so you can make questions to him, and he may question Marco and Miguel Rangel that are with us here today. So welcome, John. Welcome, Marco. Hi, Miguel. Please turn on your camera if you could. And Giorgio Karatzas is also joining us in a few moments. Please welcome everybody. Thank you for helping us. It was a pleasure having you with us. John, you first.
Well, I'm pleased to attend this final session of this long series of events you've had, Everton, and congratulate you on the amazing success. It's great to know that people across the world are paying attention and willing to engage in the dialogue. So I'll be quite happy to discuss or answer questions, whatever people might have in mind. And it's a pleasure to be on the same screen with my colleague, Marco Petitta again. Hello, Marco.
Hey, Marco, please, your turn. Unmute yourself, please.
Exactly. Yes, it was a long ride. Yes, 3-4 weeks, but we are at the end, and we learn a lot from all the participant panelists and also the attending people. So we are waiting and available for final questions.
Very good. Miguel, are you there? I see you're on but we can hear you. Okay, so I'll put questions, and when they arrive, they may answer. So it's going to be for John and Marco for now. Well, we have a first question from Iris Neri or Iris Neri in Mexican. She's from Mexico. What do you think? And that would be for Miguel Rangel, I guess. What do you think about the quotas? What are the main challenges for groundwater professionals working as consulting services? I don't know what the quotas means. Is it something that you know? I guess that's for Miguel. Okay, let's go for John Cherry. Wait for Miguel to come. Dr. John Cherry, what was your initial turning point to start this noble cause? And secondly, how much are you satisfied in terms of percentage of the achievement of our project now? The question is coming from Imran Aziz from Pakistan.
Well, I initiated the groundwater project. It was on my mind, and I've had many colleagues over the years saying that something needed to be done to follow up with the Freeze Cherry book. And I always realized that it would be very difficult to do much unless there was lots of help. And a whole series of events then led to me promising to get going after much pressure. And then 4 years ago, I began to invite colleagues, and I got enthusiasm, and then invited more colleagues, and then we got going. So it took basically the enthusiasm of all my colleagues to keep it going and to inspire me to keep it going. And so I didn't do all that much other than make suggestions and get good support from the hydrogeological community. And I found then that it's an amazing community. Like we're focused on this issue of groundwater, which is ignored across the world, and it seems everybody wants to support it. What was the second question?
Well, the second question is just a moment. I'll have to check. The second question is, how much are you satisfied in terms of percentage of the achievement of your project?
Well, we've arrived at the state with 10 books published and 100 more in process, with excellent people volunteering across the world. So I'm fully delighted at how the hydrogeologic community has supported this project. And now we're in the process of raising funds, because we can take it an awful lot further now with types of help that require funds to do so. So I am, as of the last half year, very relieved. I've done nothing but worry for 3 years, and now I don't worry anymore. I'm just joining these wonderful happenings supported by all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. We have some questions for Miguel, but Miguel just sent a message that he's in trouble with his connection. We have a question from Khalil Al-Samarai. Hello, Khalil. You're a great fan. We'll miss you after the events. This event is gone, all right? Stay in touch, please. Khalil has a question, and if Miguel is listening to us, or if you, John or Marco, wants to help. He asks, Miguel, we studied the effect of earthquake and groundwater in Tripoli, Libya, as potential for liquefaction. Did your approach differ from that? That's for Miguel. Would you have something to say? Marco or John? I don't have a word to say.
I can try to answer, because during the panel session, I was involved in relationship between groundwater and earthquakes. Of course, liquefaction is a classical approach, and I have nothing to add to the liquefaction potential. But in this case, in Italy, we use a different approach, not only for verifying the liquefaction potential, but also to verify how groundwater react in general to the earthquake waves arrival. And we just published several papers related to the possibility to see the effect of very long distance earthquake in our groundwater table in some special places where we are sure to have a very thick aquifer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers of aquifer. We are able to see something from close earthquake and far earthquake. So it's a different approach. Yes, I'm available. You can contact me for additional detail when you want.
And I might point out that there are 2 books in preparation in the groundwater project on earthquakes. One is explaining groundwater's role in earthquakes, and the other is on the human instigation of earthquakes. And so that's a topic that we want to get covered as much as possible.
We may add one on liquefaction, John.
Yeah,
Right?
Interesting. Yep.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. So I'd like to John, to introduce you to Georgios Karatzas. Hi, Giorgio, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Good evening. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
It was a great job. I think you did a very good job, and I think the whole process went very well. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Glad to participate to the project. Actually, we are in charge of translating 2 chapters of John's book, and we are from English to Greek. And we are looking forward to have this book and adapt it as the main textbook in the course of groundwater flow and mass transport.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
That's very good. Georgios
It's the Bible, John, for everybody.
Oh, I have another question here, guys. It's from Andy O'Reilly from Mississippi. Is there a desire or plans to have online training courses in the groundwater project? For example, modules on certain topics, such as the Khan Academy. John, that's for you.
Yes. Yeah, we've spent a lot of time thinking about how to go about this, and we've developed, at least conceptually, an approach for what we call self-learning multimedia modules. And we hope this year to produce some demo versions, given that groundwater is a tricky subject because you can't see it and all that stuff, to actually represent in a very engaging way. So we realized that all these books we're producing won't get used all of that much unless we can back them up with what the modern generation wants, which basically are, videos to bring it alive. So that's our next big push, to figure out how to do that and then get participants from across the world. Good question.
Suggestions, Georgios and Marco? Hello? You have suggestions, Marco Petitta and Giorgio Karatzas, about that?
I think that John completely fit with the question, so I don't have additional answer to offer.
Good, good. Well, I have something to say because we worked, Marco worked with me on an online course long ago, right, Marco, when these online courses were just starting, right? We had an online course, people from Italy and Canada, Brazil, many parts of the world. And it worked very well. And it's not compared to what we have today, you know, all this conference calls and things like that. It was much harder. And even like that, it worked. So we do know that there are possibilities to increase the learning for that. We're thinking on that, the groundwater project. I'm part of the board, and we're working on that. Sooner we'll have something. We have too many things on our hands today, right? With the books, we need support for, you know, not only volunteer support. Now we're on a stage that we need funding because we have to hire professionals to produce some of the materials, and now we're heading into the next step. It's going to happen soon. You just have to wait. John.
Every time I might mention, so the Khan Academy started off like 10 or 15 years ago from Dr. Khan figuring out how to give lectures in mathematics or whatever. And they developed a wonderful methodology that works for that type of, for those subjects. Every lecture has kind of the same principles and the same approach. But groundwater is a very visual topic. And so we're trying to figure out our approach that we would have, that all the videos that we would be involved with then would have kind of that same framework. So that's our first step, is to figure out what will be our methodology to get groundwater ideas across.
Yep, that's true. It's good for people like Georgios, Karatzas. You're doing modeling, and you have all the nice visual tools to help, right? That's the way to go. What do you think, Georgios?
You're right, but we need some good videos for the undergraduate level when we start teaching the concept, and it will be good if we have something that the students can see in 3Ds, how the groundwater moves, what are the specific cases, what are the different cases, what is the role of geology, what is the role of pumping, all these things. And I think some of the videos are going to help a lot. As we said, is the invisible part of the hydrological cycle, the groundwater. And the concept is not easy. So if we have some good videos or any kind of graphics in order to explain to the students to understand the concepts.
Yep. I mentioned into another session this the principle of the groundwater project is to be collaborative. So the idea is that people that has ideas, they can submit, like say, a short video for us, and we can see if we can fit into a book or we can fit into our website for people to use. Our idea is to have products that may be used by anyone. Like the books are free to download, we will have to have videos that could be embedded into a PowerPoint that could be downloaded and used. And not only, you know, like a copyrighted that nobody can use. The idea is to spread the knowledge of groundwater. So if you think you have a good video and you want to talk to us, just contact us. You have our contacts on our website, and you'll be glad to take a look. We'll have to submit to some critical committee to take a look at that. We'll have some quality levels to assure, but it's okay. Ideas, it doesn't mean that a video, it's always, you know, could be a waste. Sometimes the idea is good. It needs just a few adjustments to get to the quality level, just like submitting a paper. You write something, but you have some help from some experts, and you can get a better product at the end that will help students everywhere. and also will help your career because you'll be attached to that video. It helps you as well. Okay, so you're welcome to suggest. Okay, John.
Yeah, and what we want to do in the Groundwater Project, we want to show some demonstrations of videos to show a variety of different processes, carefully prepared and critiqued by experts for people to know how to get people to learn. And once we get this done, then we will be inviting people from all over the world then saying, here's our methodology. Try and do things that exist. And there are dozens and dozens of videos on the web you've seen. You can look up anything. And the problem with most of them is that they haven't been designed specifically and tested to see how well the students understand it. And what never ceases to amaze us with groundwater is how little the students learn. And as Georgios mentioned, it's a tricky subject. Like it's hard for students to embed the information so it becomes intuitive. That's where we want to go. And simulations can play a very major role in that within the context of showing laboratory experiments and tracer experiments and cartoons and everything else. So that's our challenge, in addition to continuing to publish lots of books.
Yep.
Charlie, can I say something?
Yes, you're welcome. That's what you're here for.
Before I moved from US coming back to Greece, I got a physical model, a small scale physical model for plexiglass from the University of Wisconsin, where you can see it's like a different kind of sand inside the box, and everything you can see through. There are wells, and there are some lakes, and there are some rivers, and that's the best thing to show to the students to get the first concept of what is groundwater and how pumping works in a pumping well.
Yeah, we have to have lots of that. Those boxes are basically operated to show very specific points in careful ways. So they would play a major role. Good point.
Giorgio, if you could turn off your YouTube, I think it's on and we're listening to it, please. Okay. Yes, I agree. I have another question here. When it's just for you, John. Is it possible that Dr. John Cherry come to Mexico? Well, not now, I believe.
I used to go to Mexico in the 1980s for a project in Mexico City, and I'll look forward to traveling south when that can happen.
Okay. Yes, not now for sure. So Imran asks us from Pakistan. I'll read here and see if we can understand his questions. Any consideration regarding collaboration with the entire world universities in context with exposure study visit in order to groundwater knowledge sharing as we can make groundwater visible? Did you get the question? I didn't get it correctly. Well, I reread. That's how it is written. Oh, Imran, if you could help us, I think you're asking us what do we have, like any consideration regarding collaboration between universities with the groundwater knowledge sharing? Oh, so
Everton, I'll take an attempt. So one of the initiatives within the Groundwater Project is what we call groundwater project teams. And we just started this, and we choose a country or a group of countries. And the first countries we've grouped are those in Central America. And then we reach out to find the experts in that country on the subject, and they're part of the team. And then we find experts from elsewhere who are involved in the groundwater project, and we put together in a team. And then in this case, we're having monthly telephone calls so that we on the outside find out what the country-specific problems are. And the goal then is to have a sharing of information. And I'm quite amazed at how much I'm learning by the people in the Central American countries describing their problems. And so that's an initiative we're just starting to get going. So the Groundwater Project then can relate to each country or a group of countries in a very specific way where we start to have a dialogue. And that's
Good.
an experiment. So we're just kind of starting the experiment.
Can I add something about the need and to have a knowledge sharing in general? Thanks to the Groundwater project, now probably we have the possibility to sharing information and knowledge in sense of scientific knowledge and for students. And now you are talking also about multimedia materials to be shared and used and so on. But there is another frontiers that I think we have to face. Another big challenge is to share data. So the data, the databases has to be, in my opinion, public. Sometimes some attempt started in Europe or I suppose also in other countries, but we have to, all the scientists, especially in groundwater, which is frontiers. Now, I think we also have to share the data and information with other people because we need to build very relevant knowledge also by sharing data. It's not an easy task also, this one, but I was thinking that 3 years ago, it was impossible to think that we can have free books on covering the groundwater knowledge, and now we have. So I think we can also think about new frontiers and new challenges.
Well, that's a great idea, and that's where all this should lead. So I'm really glad that you raised this, and we have to, we have to dialogue with you to figure out how to do that. Data is paid, by the public in most countries, by the taxpayers, and we gather it, and data, of course, and we know that. It's just there needs to be a process and an instigation to actually do it. So good. Let's dialogue on that and get something like that moving. Good.
Yes, I agree with that totally. But it's a seminal idea, Marco. It needs needs time and it needs a lot of work. But count on us. We can. I think this idea is very good. It's not easy to implement, as you mentioned. But if we don't start, we don't get anywhere, right?
Yes, but I was thinking about the fact that we are facing global problem. So to face global problem, we have to share information, not only the knowledge, but also the information. Yeah. I'm convinced that we can discover something, relationships and correlation between data all around the world. About the change that we are facing both in terms of human pressure and natural changes. So thank you for collecting this idea, and we have to think about it.
Yes, good. Let's do that. Excellent.
I have one question. What specific data you think we should share among countries?
Time data series about groundwater level is the first one that we can share probably easily. Of course, complex data like geochemical data or so on can be more complex because many times they are site specific. But if you think simply on the groundwater table, water table data, probably we can discover something common, and also in terms of recurrence analysis, and especially for countries where these data are few or limited or with several gaps, probably we can help them to build the information, common information.
Definitely. That's the way to go. Since we're building definitely in a groundwater project the largest groundwater community in the world. So these ideas are, this is the place for bringing these ideas for people to discuss, because more people think. You go, John.
And as the groundwater project gains recognition and participation internationally, we want to use it then to push our governments to make data public in a way that's meaningful. So even in an advanced country like Canada and whatnot, it's very difficult to get the data that you want to get. It's not as if governments believe it's their obligation. So I would hope then we would build a pressure community to basically democratize data, you know, and we advertise the Groundwater Project as democratizing knowledge. And Marco, you're pointing out, then, yeah, we should add democratizing data to that. And in many cases in groundwater, because in many cases governments don't really want us to know, there's a strong push to not make it available. And maybe groundwater is different than all other aspects of water. Like in meteorology, you know what your air quality is, and in rivers and lakes. So it's groundwater that's the secret domain.
Yeah.
Good, we need to get on to it.
Exactly. Actually, Yin Feng, in one of the sessions that we had before, she mentioned exactly that as well. We go to on TV and people talk about the weather, and the information is there, and we don't have any about groundwater, nothing related to the quality of water, and you know, some part of the climate depends on groundwater as well, and people never mention. So it's as well, we may have something to say. People just don't know. So I think
I might mention that China now leads the way in establishing modern groundwater monitoring networks. And the China Geological Survey in the last 5 years has installed 10,000 new groundwater monitoring wells, if you can believe it. And they've instrumented them all with pressure transducers, very modern. And the records then are sent to a database in Beijing. And they sample them all at a certain frequency for about 100 chemical parameters. And then the director of that program, an amazing hydrogeologist, then his aim is so anybody anywhere could basically tap into an app on their iPhone and get the data. That's his goal. And I've never heard, I mean, we might be surprised that this is happening in China, but I've never heard of any other government, and certainly there's no plan in Canada or the US to do that. So we need to find countries that are going to lead the way. And if this is happening in China, as as the director of that program wants, then we can hold that out. Okay, and pressure transducers have come down in cost and all these things. So getting data once the well is in the ground is not expensive anymore. Even the chemical data is getting cheaper. Marco, I'm glad that you got us onto this track, so we need to keep it going. Thanks.
Yeah, that's very good point. Very good point.
This is simply another part of the problem that groundwater is not visible. It's the same problem. Groundwater is not visible, so the data probably are not considered or not shared because there is no reason to do it in the mind of the government and agencies and so on.
So the Groundwater Project wants...
I think the problem...
Go ahead.
Go on.
No, Georgios.
No, go ahead. John, go ahead.
Georgios, you may say.
Okay. The thing that I wanted to say that regarding the concept of exchanging data and ideas, the two PRIMA projects that we are running right now, the main objective is after the end of the project to establish a network of monitoring for the Mediterranean area. Participate in more than 10 countries at least, and then step by step to include more countries and create a kind of network for the Mediterranean region, something that does not exist all this year.
Oh, good.
As you said, the data that we get are either from a research project something happened to the
Georges, your connection is poor.
internet connection.
We haven't heard your question, Georges. Your connection is poor.
It was a connection problem from my side.
Yeah, I know. If you want to try to repeat what you said.
Yeah, that all the data that we collect and work on for our research project, most of them are from colleagues or from other research projects and not from the public domain. From the government or any agency, they do have data. They do collect data. They do spend money and they collect data, but they don't give you the data. And after 4 years, they said, oh, they are available. But what can I do with the 4 years data? For things change from day to another. So that's a big problem regarding the groundwater research, especially collecting data.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd like to add something to you guys since you're here. We're finishing up here and we have some ideas that we discussed already before in a previous session. And I'd like to bring that to you because first we had groundwater, one for groundwater and groundwater, all in everybody for groundwater, something like that, the names that we created. And we had people talking about their work, hands-on with groundwater. The guy from Uganda doing a great job. And if you missed it, that you should see. And someone asked him about their fear working in Africa, putting wells to those people. The point was, first, most people go, when they go to poor places to bring water and sanitation, they put wells in places. And nobody mentioned that they're working with groundwater. They just mention water in general. They don't know. Yeah. Another example that we have is that, for example, in Brazil, the Guarani Aquifer, we have part of the state here that is 100% served by groundwater. And then they have the Water Basin Committee. They put a report, and all they talk is about rivers. They don't mention wells or the aquifers. So even the technicians that work with water don't even know they're working with groundwater. So the point is, it's our let's say, responsibility to bring to people the groundwater existence. That's our responsibility to make it visible. How we do that? The point is, we're trying to make some points outside first work of the groundwater project, and I put that to you to think. And to people that are watching us, of course. We're trying to make stories because people relate to stories. We scientists take care of science and information, but people relate to stories. If you see things on internet, stories are what matter. So if you tell a nice story about something related to groundwater, people, they actually share that feeling. So we have someone who had a problem with water. They had to walk 3 kilometers to get water and come back. And then you put a well there and it doesn't have to walk, and that community prospered because of that. So nobody cares it's groundwater, but they relate to the story. So it's our point to bring to society that groundwater is making it possible. So it's our turn, and we're working on the groundwater project to make it visible in that sense. So instead of telling people the hydrogeology that is boring for most people, they don't care about science, but they don't care about, they care about people and their relation to the well. So bringing in this information and those stories, we have many beautiful stories related to groundwater that people would actually feel compelled to our science. So it's our work to break this circle of experts that we are and talk to other people. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I agree with that, of course, and we need to get groundwater into the below university education, into the schools. So the Groundwater Project will soon release its first book aimed at the lay people in schools. So that children can talk about groundwater and then their parents and whatnot will hear about it. So we've got to get, as you pointed out, Everton, we've got to get beyond the expert community.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one example is that our only children's book, Wally, Indiana, is the most translated of them all. We have a great job from Gina in Greece. Great job, great translation. She was very smart on the way she's done that.
Wow.
And we have people from other places doing that. And now we have, for example, an offer from South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
South Africa, you know, they want to translate into Africans, but not only, into all the 10 languages that they have in South Africa, they want to translate the book. So this is quite good for us. Good to hear, good to know. So one thing is, if we reach the point that we don't have authors making groundwater books for children, it's not easy, right? You have to know how to speak to children. You know, that book is very good, but it's the only example that we have.
So Everton, on that front, it's worth noting that book was produced in Waterloo, 30 some years ago, and it was a big hit at the time locally.
Yep.
And then people forgot about it. I forgot about it and whatnot and so forth. And one of our colleagues on our project recalled it, and you resurrected it. Yep. And the point being, though, that there's probably many other very well done things that have been forgotten about that we want to rescue, bring them back and get them translated. Lots of good old stuff out there that just gets forgotten because we move on.
Yep. Yes, that's what we're
The
trying to do.
The project is partly about rescuing really good things that have been produced in the past, whether they're documentary movies or scientific papers or books, and bringing the past, the excellence of the past to the present generation. One thing about science education, science and engineering education, it's always in the present. We always think that the recent stuff is the great stuff. And the foundations, and many of them, there's nothing to correct in it. It was all well done when it was done.
Yep, I agree. You'd like to add something, Marco?
It's not easy to add something. Of course, any effort is welcome because, for example, I think that many young people are fascinated by the moon and the space and the Mars and so on. So no, probably we have to force them to watch under their feet, which is another perspective. It's completely different. Not an easy task because the problem and is that is invisible. Yeah. So make invisible is not an easy task, but we need to do it. Absolutely, we young people, not only at the university, of course, but also at the school, primary school, and so on.
Yep.
Yeah, it's challenging, but that's fun. When it's challenging, it's more fun, right? It's too easy. What's the point? So we have to put more work. That's better. So much the better. But the good thing is that if we develop the community, as John mentioned, that we will have some muscle to push government in the time being. We also have lots of intelligence to tap because there are lots of people all over the world thinking on the same direction, and good things happen. So I'm very confident that we're building a very strong community because we're rolling in the same direction, everybody. So it's going to happen, right?
Yes. As I mentioned during the video, we are not only scientists. We are not don't think us as scientists because of course it's only a part of the job. Yeah. We have to think us as a community and the people that stay in the society and go out from the science tower. Absolutely.
Yep, at this stage in humanity and our globe, we've got to do that.
We are doing. Guys, our time is up here and we have to close our event. That was a lot of fun having all you guys. I learned a lot, and more than that, I made so many good friends. Not only the friends that I had like Marco, but Georgios and other guys that I didn't know. And now it seems to me that I know them for such a long time. So we'll have a very good relationship, and we put things together to make it happen for sure. I know we all share the same very noble intentions, and only good things can come from that. So please, guys, I'd like you to make a final word for people that watched us, and what do you expect from the future? Just a few sentences, starting with, let's say, Georgios, please.
Well, I just want to make clear and everybody to understood that in most of the countries, when we say water, we mean groundwater. So it's very important to know what is that groundwater. It's not simply the word water, it's groundwater.
Yep.
So just respect and try to learn how things work.
Very good. Thank you, Georgios. You were very, very welcome, and it was very nice to meet you. And thank you for your help. And we're looking forward for the Greek version of the book. Okay?
Great pleasure to me. It was great to meet all of you, and I'm very glad.
Thank you. Marco, your turn, please.
Yes, I will thank all the Groundwater Project staff and team for this very, very wonderful possibility to share information, to meet people and so on. And what I want to add is that is events like this one that give us additional power for working together, for going directly to the point, and to continue to our effort to make groundwater visible.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Before I go to you, John, let me read some of the acknowledgements we have here. Dora Romero from Mexico says, thank you very much for your extraordinary work of dissemination and teaching of the subject of groundwater. Imran Aziz from Imran is Pakistan again. I really, in last, really groundwater project, much appreciated, and many congratulations to everybody, especially John Cherry, Everton, and now Groundwater Project team and volunteers across the world who make possible this event successful. Abdurrahim Yuash from Libya, you've done a great job indeed. Dora Romero again, make visible groundwater is like the soil that sustains life. It is water that is living under urban land, and so on. Thanks a lot, Dr. Everton. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, Dr. Cherry, Dr. Petitta, Dr. Giorgio Karatzas. All right, John, your turn. Please make the closure of our event.
I'd like to just thank everybody who's attended and point out that the event was Everton's idea. Like, it's a new idea, just having an event, a visual event, and getting people involved from all over the world. Marco just, provided the idea of just in this conversation of the importance of democratization of data. And so I guess as leader of the Groundwater Project, I'd like to say, bring us your ideas and don't hesitate to push us, push the envelope. The Groundwater Project is there. We can listen and we can be pushed. Bring new ideas. And when things aren't moving to your satisfaction, let us know. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So thank you, everybody, for watching us. Watch our sessions. Tell your friends, spread the word. This is internet. Share our videos, spread the link to all your friends. We need audience. And we need you. You know better how to make it happen. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. And let's make groundwater visible. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.